the next question which we are going to solve from Stivers SD sheet is the fourth question from the day 3, that is the majority element second. So this problem is the extension of the previous problem, that is the majority element. In this question we have to find the all the elements that have appear more than n by 3 number of times. So the same array we are given and we have to find the majority element. For the given case we have to find the number which have occurred more than n by 3, and that is floor of n by 3 number of times, more than floor of n by 3 number of times, where n is the number of elements present in the array. So the maximum possible elements, the maximum possible majority elements can be 2, because the number, let's suppose we have two numbers that have their occurrence greater than n by 3 number of times. Okay, so it will occur n by 3 plus 1 number of times, suppose, and the other number will occur n by 3 plus 1 number of times. Okay, and we have the array of element n. So the number of elements that are remain in the array is n by 3 minus 2. So that cannot be greater than n by 3 number of elements. So the maximum possible majority elements that can occur in an array of size n, where the condition is given that the majority element is the one that has its count, its occurrence as more than n by 3 number of times. So maximum possible elements that can be 2. So how can we find the two majority elements that can occur in an array? So the basic concept of previous question we can apply here. So what we'll do, the optimized approach which we can use to solve the problem is that we gonna use the same approach that we have used in the majority one problem, but in this case we have two majority elements, can be two majority elements. So what we'll do, we'll take the first majority element as the first element, and the majority element, majority 2 element for the current scenario, we're gonna take as empty, or we're gonna take as 2, we're gonna take as 3 the current the first element, or we can take it as empty for now, but empty will not. So for the present case we're gonna take, but its value is not equals to the 3, so we can take it as empty, majority 2 is empty. Okay, so majority for our current case is can be 3, what anything we can take. Okay, so we're gonna start our loop from this. We're gonna check if the current element is equals to the majority one element. Is it equals to the majority one element? No, it is not equals to the majority one element. If it equals to the majority two elements, no, it is not equals to the majority two elements. If neither of the condition is satisfied, we're gonna check if the count 1 is equals to 0. We gonna update the majority one element with equals to the current element. Okay, and if count 2 is equals to 0, we're gonna update majority 2 by the current element. Okay, and if neither of the condition is satisfied, we're gonna decrement the count 1 and count 2. Okay, so for the current case, 2 is not equals to the majority element 1, 2 is not equals to majority element 2. So we'll move to the condition if count 1 is equals to 0, count 1 is not equals to 0, count 2 is equals to 0. So we're going to update the majority element 2. We're going to update the majority element 2 with 2, and we're gonna increment the count 2. Okay, count 2 become equals to 1, 1. Okay, we have the majority element 1 as 3, majority element 2 as. We're gonna move to the next element. If the majority one element is equals to the current element, yes, it is equals to the current element, we're gonna increase the count 1 by 1. So presently it was 1, we're gonna increase it by 2. Okay, so our array has ended. After this, we're gonna check one more condition. We're gonna check one more condition. If if the count of the majority element 1 and majority element 2 is more than n by 3, floor of n by 3. So we're gonna check if we're gonna iterate over the array, linearly iterate over the array from 0 to n. We're gonna linearly iterate over the array and check if the current element is equals to majority one element. We're gonna increase the c1 equals to 0 and c2 equals to 0, c1 by 1, and if the AI is equals to the majority 2, we gonna increase C2 by 1. Okay, and if C1 is greater than floor of n by 3, we will say that it is one of the majority element, and if C2 is greater than floor of n by 3, we again consider that majority 2 is the majority. So the maximum majority element can be 2, but there can also be one majority element. For the present case, there is only one majority element because C1 is equals to 2, that is greater than 3 floor 3. 3 by 3 की floor, that is equals to 1. 2 is greater than 1, and for C2 is equals to 1, and C2 is not greater than 1. So 1, we have only got one majority element, that is equals to 3. Okay, so this is it our output? Yes, it is our output. Okay, so we'll look at the code. Look at the code. So what we have here, will will majority element 1 as first element and its count as 1, and the second majority element for the present case we initialize with the first element of the array and its count is equals to 0. Okay, we iterate over the array from index 1 to the last index of the array. We're going to check if the first majority element is equal to the current element. If the condition satisfy, we're going to increment the count. Else, if the second majority element is, if the first condition does not satisfy, we're going to check the second condition. If the current element is equals to the second majority element, we're gonna increase the count to. Else what we can do, if the count 1 is equals to 0, our majority element will become equals to the current element and the count become equals to 1. Else if this condition does not satisfy, we're going to check for this condition. If c2 is equals to 0, तो count 2 matlab the count 2 of the majority element 2 is equals to 0, we're going to update the majority 2 element with the current element and its count as 1. Else what will be the condition? Else we're going to decrease count 1 and count 2 both by 1. Okay, both by 1, and this is the verifying condition. If the current element, we're going to iterate over the array and check for the count of the majority elements. Check for the count of the majority element. If majority element 1 is equals to the current element, we're going to increase the count 1 for the majority element 1, and if the current element is equals to the majority element 2, we're going to increase the count for the majority element 2, and if the count for any of the majority element is greater than the floor of size divided by 3, then we're gonna push it into our answer. We're gonna return it. So this is whole code which we have written. We're gonna run. Okay. Now what we'll do, we're gonna submit. So our code gets submitted. So this is the proper approach that we will use to solve the majority element 2 question. Okay.